All right, so you just finished up the recruiting season. What can you say about your first class and how that went?
Well, I think the big thing that stands out is the job our assistant coaches and our staff did. We had a short period of time. We had 3.5 weeks to try to get together a class, and for us to do the job that we did, we feel good about the players that are coming in, not just football players, but as students and people too. And that was, two of the top criteria were the type of students that they were and the kind of people that they are. And so we felt like we were able to hit those goals and those needs, and then hit the position areas that we needed. But again, I thought our assistant coaches did an excellent job, and our staff of putting together what a lot of people believe is the top one in the Sun Belt Conference.
You talk about your assistant staff. Coach Lunsford was named, Sun Belt Recruiter of the Year. How important was he coming in? He was, already here, groundwork, and y'all came in. How important was he to the process?
Well, Lunsford's been vital to the transition, in all aspects, not just recruiting, but he was certainly a big part of that. But again, I think that with the job that we were able to do in recruiting, I think that you'll look and see that it was our entire staff that was able to do it. I don't think that any one person stood out more than anybody else. It's an awesome thing for our staff and for Chad to be able to get the recognition that he so much deserves. But I think it's a good example of what everybody was able to do with the group in the amount of time that we had.
What were a few of the big selling points for a lot of these players, especially with the new staff coming in? What were you able to sell them to get them to Southern?
Well, I think you're selling the same things that Georgia Southern were built on. I think that's a winning culture. I think obviously the facilities that we have here and the upgrades we've been able to make, and the institution. When you talk about an academic school, you talk about a place that's also got the ability to be able to transition people into the business world from here, and so that's what we were trying to look for.
Generally, this is one of the slower parts of the football years after recruiting, before spring. But you just getting here, I'm sure it's not the case. Have you had a chance to kind of sit back and take a breath?
No, that's kind of the neat part of football at the college level. You kind of go through phases. You go through and you go through camp for usually 2.5 weeks, and about the time you're tired of it, about the time you're exhausted with it, the season kind of gets started up. And the season usually takes 14 to 15 weeks plus a bowl game, and about the time you're a little exhausted with it, recruiting a new competition kind of gets to roll around. And so you do that through December, and the bowl games usually going on at the same time, and then January, and it all kind of culminates that first Wednesday in February. And you get a little bit of time here before spring practice starts, where you're working in off-season conditioning, and you start meetings with your players and agilities, things like that. About the time you kind of are ready for that to get done, about the time spring practice gears up, and that usually takes about 5 weeks. And so the same thing, by the time you're getting done with that, you crank back up and you start with spring recruiting. And then you get into your summer and doing your camps, and whole new phase of recruiting and trying to get ready for the fall camp. So it doesn't ever really slow down. It just cycles more than anything else.
You've mentioned talking or meeting the players. Have you gotten a chance to really get to know some of the guys coming back? And I guess what's their reaction been to the new staff?
Well, we've gotten a chance. We've been able to spend 4 or 5 different opportunities with some of the agilities that we're doing, and we started our character ed meetings on Wednesday. Those things have helped. So I certainly think that we're building towards that. But like anything else, relationships are individual based, and so we're trying to continue to build as many good relationships as we can with each individual kid, for our assistant coach and for guys on our staff as well.
Could you talk a little about the character ed classes? What are those?
Well, what we try to do is take 30 to 40 minutes once a week, and really just try to do important things we feel like that are training for guys that are outside of football, whether we're talking about family or beliefs or anything like that. And we bring in guest speakers from time to time as well to kind of give them an idea of obviously some of the leadership factors that they've got to be able to work towards, but some of the responsibilities they have of being a student athlete, what that means as well. So we're trying to educate them as best we can.
When you were announced at the press conference, you described this as a dream job. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think the big thing is, for me, and the things that are important, it's my family, and having opportunities. Growing up in South Georgia, my wife grew up in South Georgia as well. That's really how we wanted to raise our 3 sons, and we got 3 little boys, Jake, Walker, and Anderson, and my wife, Beth. And so we wanted to be able to be back here. We certainly felt like this was a fantastic institution with great leadership in our athletic department and in our university as well. And being able to come back here to a place where football is important, where culture is important. Those things were important to us, so that's why this all fit for me.
You had a 1-year stint here in 2006, come back 10 years later as a head coach. Obviously, the place looks a lot different. It's a completely different program, but how have you changed as both a man and as a coach?
I think the biggest thing is once you have children, your ideas of things change, and again, I can, when my oldest, Jake, when he was born, I think that you saw, the way that I viewed our players wherever I've been, how I've been towards them, and how I viewed things that probably early on before I had children, I probably would have viewed as small things or insignificant. It become very significant to me. And the football part, I've been blessed in the last 10 years to be around a lot of good players, but around a lot of good coaches as well, and mentors. And so I think you take a little bit from everybody and try to take the best pieces of everybody you've been around, and from an organizational standpoint, add those things in, and try to do it with your own personality.
How important is student involvement and filling the student section over here, and how is that important to you?
I think that we're at a school where we should be able to do that. I think that obviously, again, culture with our university, and understanding the time restraints that our student athletes do have, but being able to feel like our students are a big backing for us. I mean, I think when you look and you see the programs in the country, whether it's football or basketball, and proud institutions when it comes to athletics, I think you're able to see that the student section's a major part of that. And it doesn't matter if you're Georgia Southern football or if you're Duke at basketball, I think that's what we're trying to get to.
Looking out there, obviously the place is under renovations. Do you have an opinion or thoughts about playing on turf field? And then also, do you know if the team is going to be practicing on turf field as well?
I think the big thing that you're always looking for is, and a lot of people ask these questions, but you're looking for safety, and any decision that you make, as a head coach or whether you're in a leadership position, you're looking for what's going to be best for our players, and safety's first and foremost with any of those things, and obviously, we feel like one of the things that can help us certainly are the ideas when there is rain or when there is moisture and things like that going on, that obviously the turf can help us with that and protect the grass fields that we have. We certainly don't want to take away from the culture and the background and the history that we have with Eagle Creek, but we certainly feel like having the turf will give us a little bit better chance on some of those days to use this, and it'll be advantageous for us.
You talked about the offense is going to look kind of the same. What is it about the Georgia Southern option or offense is so hard to defend?
Well, I think that it's not. It's the option certainly a big part of it, but it's really more what the option brings you. It's the mentality, it's the toughness, and the focus that it brings. It is a little bit of a different type of offense than what you see week in and week out for defenses. So obviously trying to get prepared for it obviously makes it a little bit more difficult. But I think it's all the intangibles that the option brings. Like I said, the toughness and the mentality and the competition that comes with it.
Returning a lot of starters on offense, how important is that going to be? Kind of have a lot of holdovers.
Well, I think like anything else, what you're really looking for is leadership. More importantly than necessarily just having starters back, you're looking for leadership. And I think that what we're trying to do is build depth and certainly trying to develop as many players as we can to help with that. And to give us the opportunity to play fast, we're going to have to play with as many as we can play with. And so that's the number one goal for us, is leadership and then development.
One big topic right now in just football, from every level, is tackling. What style are you going to teach here, or what kind of fundamentals of tackling does Tyson Summers go about?
The one that gets them to the ground.
So spring season coming up, what are some things that you want to get done in this first spring season heading into the summer?
I think the implementation of both offense and defense, obviously there will be pieces of it that look similar, like I said, to what they've done here in the past, but it'll be new verbiage, it'll be new language, and trying to make sure that piece of it is taken over when we get done with our 15 days of spring practice, that we walk out of here both on each side of the ball as a staff and with our players, to be able to feel like we've got a good basis and a good ground for where we want to be and what we're going to be. Obviously, again, we want to feel like we come out of 15 days with a strong leadership group and guys that when the rubber hits the road and when there is tough things going on, that we're going to be able to find out who can stand up and who can make plays for us when it happens. That's what we're looking for, is the competition part and the leadership part.
So the last few years has been a couple big milestones hit. You know, you had the getting into the Sun Belt, going 8-0 in the first season, and winning the first bowl game. What's the next big, I guess, milestone for Georgia Southern?
Well, I think it's for us to be on a consistent basis, be a team that can be in the top 20, 25 in the country. I think that's where we want to head with this thing, and talked a lot about it. This is where I'd like to be, and this is where I want to be, and I'm thrilled to be here and honored to be here. But we've got to continue to have sustained success. And how can we do that over a 10, 15, 20-year period of time? We're trying to look at big picture goals, not necessarily short term.